The Neil Mellor Football Show is sponsored by the Red Balloon Toy Shop, selling classic toys for today's kids. Find us by West Kirby train station.
Yes, hello everybody, welcome to the Neil Mellor Football Show, where our heart rates are still trying to recover after that astonishing game at the Britannia Stadium yesterday. Plenty to talk about, Neil Mellor, from that performance. I mean, where do you want to begin? 5 goals away at Stoke, unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing, if we're going to start anywhere, is the 3 points. You know, everyone was saying beforehand what a difficult place Stoke is to go to, and our record in recent seasons, I think someone said 1982, something daft like that.
Well, they hadn't scored 2 goals there since 1982.
We didn't have a good record going into the game, and sometimes it could play on the player's mind. I've seen Stoke a couple of times, and I felt as though we were good enough to go there and get the 3 points. I know they'd only lost once that season against Norwich, I think it was. I think Man City had struggled there, Chelsea had struggled there, so everyone was saying it was going to be a tough game, and it was a tough game. You know, Stoke made it tough for us, but the quality that we have going forward is the best in the Premier League, and obviously Man City apart, you know, we are a real entertaining side, and yeah, we conceded 3 goals, but so what, we scored 5 goals and we won the game, so surely that's the entertaining business we're in. That's what the supporters want to see, and we don't want to be seeing 1-0 victories all the time. We want to see entertaining games, and we have the players to do that.
Certainly a massive difference, isn't there, between Brendan Rodgers' Liverpool and Jose Mourinho's Chelsea. I think if you took a straw poll of the fans in the Premier League, it's pretty obvious which team they'd rather go and see.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're enjoying it. Every game we're going into knowing players like Luis Suarez, we're going to be scoring goals. The downside to it is the fact defensively we look like we are going to concede every game, and you could say a little bit worrying to concede 3 against Stoke, but to score 5 away from home, again, we did it recently away at Tottenham. It's fantastic stuff. Every game, fans looking forward to going to watch. Yeah,
I'll pick you up on the attacking qualities of the game shortly, but you mentioned the defensive frailties there. Brendan Rodgers, Liverpool have played they played 59 games now under Brendan Rodgers, and they've conceded 2 goals or more in 25 of those 59 games. So that stat tells you that they're not quite where they need to be.
It's a problem if you're losing them games, but if you're winning the games, like clearly we did yesterday away at Stoke, it's not a problem. You know, when you go out on the football pitch, the aim of the game is to get 3 points, score more goals than the opposition. If we concede 2 or 3, but score 4 or 5, then job done.
Yeah, good point. When was the last time Liverpool won 5-3 away from home?
I don't know. That's one for the statisticians.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Norwich. Do you remember the famous Norwich game? Justin Fashanu, volley into the top corner, goal of the season. David Fairclough hat-trick.
And what year was that?
What was it?
I was there for 5-2 last season for when we beat Norwich, so obviously it wasn't 5-3.
1980, I think that was. Were you even born in 1980?
No.
No. Well, there you go. I was. So what did you make of... the talking point, really, the main talking point was the penalty that Raheem Sterling won. I revealed this stat that Liverpool have won more penalties than any other team in the Premier League.
I'm sure that stat's been used before in the pub. It's a great stat.
A few weeks ago I revealed that. Match of the Day used it this weekend, but I'd like to claim it early doors. 119 penalties Liverpool have now been awarded. Was the 119th a controversial one?
Yeah, it's not a penalty. There's no way it's a penalty. I don't believe it was. I think the slight contact, but I think if you see penalties given for that, you're going to see 3, 4, 5 penalties a game. There's so much contact in the box, and I don't think Wilson did enough to really warrant Sterling going down. He is a light player, very quick on his feet, and the slightest nudge he went down. But for me, I didn't think it was a penalty, but it was a big moment in the game.
It wasn't a dive though, was it?
It's not a dive, it's not a booking, but I just felt as though it's a slight nudge. For me, it's not a penalty, and I'm an attacking player. I want to see us going forward and creating chances. So I was surprised to see the referee give it, but we've seen decisions go against us over the festive period, so that was a key decision because it made us obviously give us the opportunity to go 3-2 up, and Gerrard, the way he clinically dispatched the penalty, it was a big goal, and it was big in the start of the second half, because when you're going in at half time 2-0 up with 5 minutes to go in the first half, you're thinking get in at half time, regroup, and we could batter these 3 or 4 like we did against Tottenham. But to concede 2 goals just before half time, there must have been in the changing rooms thinking, how have we thrown this away? But then Rodgers has G'd them up and started the second half well, got that important 3rd goal, and gone on and won the game.
Yeah, do you think Raheem Sterling, we obviously bring him up regularly, don't we? But his performances over the last 6 weeks have been top drawer, haven't they?
Yeah, I think the thing with Raheem Sterling was he was a frustrating player because you knew he had it in his locker with that pace, and you just felt as though he wasn't utilising it the way he should be. I mean, I refer to Walcott before. I feel as though he's a player who's learned to use his pace, and I think Raheem Sterling is doing that now. I think you have to give Brendan Rodgers huge credit, because there's been games where you're thinking probably shouldn't be starting Raheem Sterling, but he's stuck with Raheem Sterling, and he's getting his benefits from that now. He's running in behind a lot more, rather than waiting for the ball to feet and trying to do it with his pace. He's running in behind and using that pace much more, and he's affecting the back line of defences. They're frightened to death of his pace, because he's one of the quickest players in the Premier League.
Yeah, I thought in the first half especially you could see that the Stoke left back was absolutely terrified every time he got the ball, and he was trying to take him on every time, which is what you want to see, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the confidence. I mean, I think it was a goal against Norwich way back that gave Raheem Sterling that bit of confidence, and it just flowed and flowed, and now he's a major part of that attacking threat that we have at Liverpool. Luis Suarez himself, Coutinho, Daniel Sturridge now back into the fold, so we are really looking at an attacking threat going forward, which is exciting stuff.
Yeah, indeed. You mentioned Suarez, Sturridge and Coutinho. Those three have only been on the pitch together for 6% of this season. So if you can keep those three fit and throw Sterling in, like you say, very exciting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Brendan Rodgers does now that Daniel Sturridge is fit. I think away from home he may decide not to go with Coutinho, because he brought Coutinho off for Daniel Sturridge, and Daniel Sturridge came on, immediate impact. You know, it'd have been frustrating for him being out on the touchlines. But he came on, got an assist, fantastic assist for Suarez. To have the vision, he ran 30 yards up the pitch, completely changed the attacking momentum, passed the ball for Suarez and got himself a goal as well after he kept the ball alive after a good save from Butland to deny him originally. And he's a confidence player, Daniel Sturridge, and it's great to have him back into the side, him and Suarez.
Yeah, there's no messing around, was there? He was straight back in. Didn't look like a player who was trying to regain his form or fitness. And did you know that was his 20th league goal for Liverpool in his 27th game?
It's a fantastic record.
I mean, obviously compared to Suarez, it pales into insignificance.
But it's like a new signing coming back into the fold. You know, we're talking about the squad being a little bit thin, a little bit light. Daniel Sturridge back into the fold now is a massive boost for everyone at Liverpool, and it is like a new signing coming back.
Yeah, and that 20th goal, he's done that quicker than Fowler, Owen, Rush, same as Torres, quicker than Suarez. So he's a player who's started his career better than... Well, I'll tell you, so he's the sixth quickest Liverpool player in history to get to 20 goals. George Allen, Fred Pagnam, Ronald Orr, Frank Beckton and Dave Hickson and Fernando Torres, the only players who've done it quicker.
Some good names there, in some good company.
Proper
But I think the thing
names
with Daniel Sturridge is the way he picks up a little bit niggly injuries. And you're thinking you want to see that, well, not happen so much, because he's such a fantastic talent when he is out there on the pitch. He makes things happen. Great understanding with Luis Suarez. So between now and the end of the season, people will talk about the World Cup, but we want Daniel Sturridge fully fit, because he's going to be a big part with his partnership with Luis Suarez, getting us to the top four, and who knows what else might happen. You know, maybe a title spin as well. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and it's good to see Liverpool scoring goals away from home, because at home it's been sort of cruise control, hasn't it? And now away from home, if they can start knocking the goals in away from home, scored more away goals than any other team from the top 5 leagues in Europe now. So if they can find some goals away from home, then this challenge is on, seriously.
Yeah, well, I think Liverpool are now getting results that haven't done in previous seasons, like we're talking about Stoke, places where they've been known to slip up, and going there and full of confidence, almost battering these teams and fully justifying why we are top contenders this season.
Yeah, and what about this new role for Steven Gerrard? A lot of chat about it. Lucas was playing the more advanced role, which is a strange thing to see, wasn't it? And Gerrard obviously sat back. He misplaced a few passes, but his covering of the defence was pretty fantastic.
Well, he's a top player, Steven Gerrard. He's played right back, left back, off the striker, centre midfield. Wherever Steven Gerrard plays, he affects the game of football. He's been man of the match in all those positions when he has played. So, for me, we've seen it with Pirlo was it the last World Cup, European Championships, where he just dictated the play from just in front of the back four. For me, I think Steven Gerrard can do that. The way Brendan Rodgers wants to play, he wants that man to be dictating the ball. He wants that one to be brave, get on the ball and spray the passes everywhere. Steven Gerrard can do that. And for me, with Daniel Sturridge coming back in, Coutinho, Suarez, you're looking at maybe Lucas as being the one that might have to drop out in those games. If Gerrard's going to sit deeper, I can't see Jordan Henderson getting dropped. The way he's been playing this season doesn't deserve to be getting dropped, but that's Brendan Rodgers' dilemma now. Lucas played further forward yesterday, but I can't see him staying in that position if Stevie's going to be dropping further back.
No, yeah, I think you're right. Now the centre backs, obviously, they're chopping and changing every game. Aga's out, Sakho's out, Toure and Skirtle yesterday, and I thought they coped pretty well considering this stat. Stoke delivered 51 crosses in the game, which is more than any other team has delivered all season. So there was obviously a plan to get at the centre of Liverpool's defence. I mean, obviously conceded 3. Yeah. Crouchy got a header, first headed goal Stoke have conceded scored this season.
That's amazing. That's the most amazing stat in itself. if they're delivering crosses regularly into the box, which they are doing, I mean, it was a free header. You're thinking, no, there's no pressure on Crouch when he heads the ball, and obviously 2 ex-Liverpool players scoring. It was nice to see Crouch's reaction. We don't want to see him scoring against us, but he knew, the respect.
Do you like that, seriously? Do you not want to see players enjoying a goal despite it being against their old team?
I think there is a respect element to it. Yes, you are playing for that football club and giving it everything, and Crouch was, because he scored a goal. He's not missing easy chances, but I think he's just been a little bit respectful to the Liverpool fans, which I don't have a problem with that at all.
Do you think he would have been as respectful if it had been a last-minute winner?
We don't need to talk about it because it wasn't. It was merely.
That's what I want to see a player score a last-minute winner against their old team and somehow keep it in and just stroll back to the centre circle with a grimace on their face. I don't think it's possible. I get excited when I knock one in the 5-a-side. Anyway, enough about me. It's not about me, is it? It's the Neil Mellor football show. We've got to talk about Luis Suarez again, haven't we? Because we can't not. 2 targets for him this season, as far as I can see. The most goals excluding penalties in a single Premier League season. Amazing. Who scored the most goals excluding penalties in a Premier League season, do you think? 34 of them.
Fowler?
Andy Cole, actually. Sorry, it wasn't just Liverpool I was talking about then. Okay. But that was in a 40-game season, I think. In a 38-game season, sorry, that was 42 games. In a 38-game season, he needs 28 goals to equal Shearer, Drogba and Robin Van Persie. So he's only 6 away from that.
I think that is a surprising thing, the fact that Suarez is the top goal scorer. Missed the first 5 games of the season as well. Yeah. Doesn't take penalties. He takes a lot of free kicks, but difficult to score from a free kick as opposed to a penalty. So he could be on a lot more goals if he was on penalties. But he's such a class act. I mean, his first goal, I mean, most players in the Premier League would perhaps give that long ball up and sit back and just allow the defence to have it, not allow them out. But Suarez doesn't give the ball up. He chases it between 2 defenders, makes something happen for himself. And, he'll probably get the plaudits for his second goal, which was a brilliant finish. But for me, that first goal was better because of his work rate to create the opening and just to put it away was brilliant play. Yeah.
And I suspect it was because it was Luis Suarez. That's why the defence panicked so much. If it had been another player running through, they may have been a little bit more composed, but the fact is it's Suarez. Shawcross suddenly loses the plot, doesn't know what to do.
Such a clever play because he's reading where the ball goes, because you're in a 50-50 position. Is the defender going to head it this way or that way? Suarez went bang this way and so deserving that little bit of luck that he deserved because of his work rate.
Yeah, him and Sturridge have now got 32 league goals between them. That's more than 15 of the 20 Premier League teams.
It is amazing. We're in January and we're still saying that Suarez has scored more goals than Stoke. It was on Match of the Day yesterday, wasn't it? Suarez 20 goals, Stoke 19 this season. It's amazing and phenomenal. So he's the best player in the Premier League, absolutely no question. And it was a big boost just before Christmas when he signed that new contract, because all the speculation now would be about Suarez going to a Champions League club. There's no reports now because he signed that contract. He can concentrate on playing for Liverpool and potentially attract other players who want to play with Luis Suarez. Every player in Europe will want to play with Luis Suarez, and at Liverpool as well.
Yeah, so who can Liverpool attract then? Transfer window's open now. Looks like they need some defensive cover, maybe another midfield player thrown in there if possible. What sort of player can they attract? Who do Liverpool need?
I think Liverpool needs some real quality, because if you look at the bench, there's not much coming off there to potentially change a game. So I think there's certainly room for 2 or 3 decent signings, and we've seen in January it is possible. A lot of managers tend to cover the back, saying there's not many players out there, but there is. We saw Coutinho last season. We saw Newcastle themselves strengthen in a January transfer window last season. There's players out there, and knowing that Liverpool are flying the way that we are, and someone like Suarez at the club, I think we can really attract some quality. And we know Brendan Rodgers wants to bring in younger players, so we may see 1 or 2. Plenty of players will get linked to us, and we will definitely strengthen in this window. There's no question of that.
Yeah, it's frustrating for the fans, isn't it? It always seems to, you have to wait till the the 31st of January at midnight before anything gets done. Why does it take so long for these deals to get done?
It's frustrating, but on the day, it's almost like a day that everyone wants to take off work as a holiday because it's such an exciting day. Thinking, well, who are we going to sign? We signed Suarez and Andy Carroll on one transfer window, so I'm not saying we're going to get two massive players like that, but I'm sure we will get a decent amount of money spent in this window to bring someone in.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to Everton now. We may as well continue the theme because it looks like they're going to lose or sell. Lose isn't the right word, is it, for Nikita Jelavic because he hasn't been performing.
I thought you were going to talk about Barkley. You're talking about Jelavic.
Well, he looks like he's the one who's off.
Right.
If they get £7 million for him, that's a pretty decent return, isn't it? Of a player who scored one league goal.
Absolutely amazing.
Last year?
Amazing. I think the chairman of the club who's buying him for £7 million will want to think, how have we got to that figure? £7 million, you know. Everton will be absolutely delighted if they can get £7 million. Jelavic, superb when he came over, did extremely well when he came down from Scotland, but I think, what was he scored in one game this season? It's been
scored in the FA Cup, didn't he? But
in the FA Cup, and that's it. And that is a real poor record for a centre forward. It's not good enough.
Maybe he wears some sort of tiger underpants, and so the whole chairman's got very excited.
Quite possibly, yeah. But yeah, I mean, Everton will be delighted to get that sort of money for him. I think they showed McGeady, who I think is a good player. He can play central. I think Mirallas can play central as well. So they will have options. And obviously, Lukaku's a man who's not been on as good form as he has been at the start of the season, but he's still a top centre forward. That obviously he's their main striker.
Yeah, talking main strikers, I think Lukaku, as you say there, he's their main striker. But he's had a rough patch, hasn't he? He's only scored one goal in his last 6 or something like that. So he needs to pick up if Everton are to get over this little injury worry problem they've got now with Barkley missing and other players maybe on a bit of a downer at points of the season. This looks like a point where they need to really battle to get results. The game against Norwich, they didn't have as many shots as usual. Certainly didn't test Ruddy as often as usual. So they all need to dig in, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean they had the game on Saturday, put pressure on Liverpool going into the game Sunday because they're picking up the 3 points. They're in that vital 4th place Champions League qualification, and Norwich, it's not an easy game. Norwich have come there fighting for their lives. They're in that scrap for survival, and they made it difficult for Everton. And that's a good 3 points for Everton. I mean, Mirallas, his free kick was superb, and it's funny because Barkley's a decent free kick taker, Leighton Baines, and yet Mirallas is the man who stepped up and put it in the top bin. It was a superb free kick. But that's huge news for Everton. Ross Barkley being out for the Derby game coming up in a few weeks' time. That's a massive loss because he's been in absolutely brilliant form.
Yeah, and also they've missed Sylvain Distin at the back. But what do you make of John Stones, who's come in and covered for Distin?
I was impressed with him. I saw him at Stoke. I thought he was better of the two than Alcaraz. There, he was a young player making his Premier League debut. He's only 19, but he looked solid. Again, Stoke put a lot of balls into the box. He had to deal with that, the physical presence of bodies going into the box and putting blocks in as well. He looks a real good young player and a good prospect for the future. And he can only learn off players like Distin, Jagielka. They're the main two for Everton, but he will certainly learn off them. Yeah,
it was interesting, wasn't it? Because he was due to sign for Wigan at the end of last season. David Moyes nipped in and grabbed him ahead of Martinez, and Martinez is now managing him. So we wonder what he said to Martinez when he first walked into the dressing room. Sorry, boss.
Yeah,
but it's all worked out in the end.
It's good to see, though, isn't it? A young local lad, English lad, getting a chance. He's not a local lad, but he's a young English lad. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see some, I don't know, Czech Republic 20-year-old coming over. We want to see an English player getting a chance, and that's what Everton are doing. So fair play, and hopefully Stones will do well there.
Yeah, Gareth Barry, the 81st player to score 50 Premier League goals, and that's interesting because it's taken him the most number of games to get those 50 goals of those 81 players.
Well, I don't think we look at Gareth Barry as saying, we want goals from you. He does a fantastic job.
No, that's true.
Protecting that back four, and he's had, I think, 3rd Everton goal. That's a decent return from Gareth Barry. And it was an absolute screamer as well. I think the Norwich back four were backing off thinking, let him shoot, and what's he going to do? And he ends up putting it in the top bin. It was a great goal.
Yeah, 513 Premier League games he's played, Gareth Barry. And I think if Lucas had scored 3 goals this season, we'd be swinging from the rafters with joy, wouldn't we? So
I think we would be.
So 3 from Barry is a decent return. You're right there. We're running out of time, I'm afraid, folks. Just a quick mention for Tranmere. They got a decent point in the end after trailing to Walsall, who are 7th in the table. So I guess when you're down the bottom, the point is is valuable against the top 10 side.
Yeah, well, we said this month, I think they had 3 home games. They need to make full use of that. And it's a good point because Walsall are flying. You think of Walsall as a side that aren't great, and they're a decent side in League One, hovering just outside the playoffs. And every point counts when you're down there fighting for your lives, as Tranmere are. So it was an important point just to try and keep them further away from those relegation places, because there's some big clubs down there in those towards those relegation places, and you're thinking they may kick on and a run, and will Tranmere. So it's important they pick up as many points as they can from this home form.
Indeed, it is great. Thank you very much, Neil Mellor. Now then, fans of a Sky show going to be seeing you this weekend, aren't they?
They certainly are. Anyone that watches Soccer AM, I'm going to be on the sofa.
Not as good as this, obviously, but
no, it's more of a sofa than seats. But
exactly, yeah, we can afford
going
two
down
at the
there.
Rubis Cafe.
So hopefully, I can put it in one of the games that they do. I'm going to be practicing for that. We have to slot it in the top bin or whatever, don't they?
Oh, you do, yes, yeah.
Hopefully got my shooting boots for that.
Yeah, are your knees okay?
Yeah, I'd be fine.
Good man. I'll be at the Aston Villa Liverpool game, so I'll fill you in on how it all goes.
5:30 kick off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Upset the wife a little bit because we've got dinner guests since it all had to be postponed. But anyway, again, it's not about me, is it? Great. Thank you very much for watching this. If you've got through these 21 minutes, you're one of our top fans. So thank you very much for that. Thank you to the Rubis Cafe in West Kirby, Colin Bailey for filming all this, and here are the T Street Band. Bye-bye.